name's Sharon Godwin, and I'm the director of Thunder Bay Art Gallery. And I was involved in Walking with Our Sisters because we had the honor of having Walking with Our Sisters in our gallery space.
And from the perspective of the director of a public art gallery, can you describe how your experience with Walking with Our Sisters compares to other art installations?
Well, I don't think there's really a comparison. There has never been anything like Walking with Our Sisters in our space. I'm not sure of other spaces, but because this is so much more than an art installation. In fact, it's difficult for us to even call it. We haven't called it an exhibition at all because it's not that at all. It's so much more. It's a memoriam. It's an installation. It's ceremony, which is what we've certainly come to learn as we've been working on Walking with Our Sisters. So I would say that it's like nothing that's ever happened in our gallery space in the 37 years that we've been in existence.
What were some of the ways that Walking with Our Sisters challenged your gallery or staff or yourself in working differently than you guys might be used to?
Right. Well, I think from the very beginning, we've been working with the local planning committee, which is made up of many, many amazing women and some men. And from the beginning, it's just a challenge to sit in a meeting and not have a traditional meeting. By that I mean a meeting that you might normally have in an institutional setting, where you have an agenda and you have people follow the rules and you end at a certain time. And that's really one thing that I think we've all learned, to slow down a bit, to think about people, not that we didn't before, and to really listen to people and give people a chance to talk and tell us their stories, and not us, but tell the meeting their stories and express their opinions. So it started from the very beginning.
Great. Were there any specific provisions that your gallery had to make in regards to community access to staff spaces or for the smudge and smoke, which at times could be very heavy?
Right. So, yeah, the smudging, it wasn't an issue in terms of the fire alarms, as you might expect, although it was one day, because there was, I think, one of the people doing the smudge was very enthusiastic, and he had quite a little fire burning. But so we did have a visit that day from the fire department, which was okay because they kind of walked through, and I was able to explain to them what Walking with Our Sisters was about. But really, the smudge, the only thing is if people have any kind of allergy to it. But in terms of the visitors, everyone knew that in advance. And in terms of the staff here at the gallery, people knew if it bothered them, they could go work elsewhere, work at home. And most people didn't really have an issue. I mean, the odd headache, but who knows if the smudge really caused that. So that wasn't really an issue. In terms of our spaces, we ended up turning over, if you will, all three of our gallery spaces to Walking with Our Sisters. So the installation was in our large space, and then the other two spaces were used for greeting and for just comfort areas for people to sit after and talk, for volunteers to sit and have coffee or whatever. So, at first, I will be honest, I was a little worried about, well, we have all these blank walls with no art on them, and we could fill it with art, but this was about Walking with Our Sisters. It wasn't about other things. So we left the walls blank, we painted them red in some cases, and it's all worked out really well because the focus is then on Walking with Our Sisters.
What would you suggest for other public art galleries that want to host Walking with Our Sisters in the future?
Well, I would suggest that they do it, first of all, because if there were any negatives, and really there weren't, the positives far outweigh any negatives that you might have seen. And the positives are just in the community response, into all the amazing partnerships and relationships that we've been able to develop with the people that were working on this project, and the awareness that's been created in this community and is going to be created all across the country. Because when you see those vamps and you realize that every pair of those vamps represents a woman, standing there, if you think about that, and she's no longer here. And her family, if she's missing, her family doesn't know where she is. So I would say, if you're a public art gallery and you are offered this, that you should take it. And you should just embrace the whole experience, because it's so much more than just an art exhibition.
And one last question. What are your thoughts about Walking with Your Sisters now that we are entering the final week of the installation?
Well, it's going to be really hard to see it go, of course. It went very quickly. We had it for 3 weeks, and which was long enough because it's so much work for the volunteers and the committee. And I know some people will miss having seen it. I guess the other thought is that if, I want to get out there and say to everybody, if you haven't been in yet, you must get in before Sunday, because otherwise you're going to have to travel somewhere else in Canada to see it. So come and see it when it's in Thunder Bay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.